It's gone. Share stream is gone, and it's not coming back. At least not today. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Morning Vapor _ Spool. Reese, Jamie, Asterum, Matthew Mega, and Ginger Ale Seed. Ginger Ale Seed. So sad it was the last long link ever. Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll do another one. See if we feel like it. Hello, Lemonade. Congratulations. Lemonade number 65. Good evening. Hello, Fishy F. Ash. Just got home from work. There must be a lot of Europeans in chat today, which is always good. I think about 25% of my live audience is from around the world outside of the music is very loud. Is that so? How's that? East Coast. Morning shift at Amazon. I got a lot of commercials on my YouTube about that. I work morning shifts at Amazon so I can make breakfast for my family, and it's really great. I'm like covered in head to toe in like anti-COVID materials. It's like, that doesn't look fun. I am here. You found me. I thought I could hide from you, squirrel, but nope. Nothing gets past Power Inc., does it? Good morning, Leah QT. It's not that insane when you think about it. I mean, I see me every day. I live with me. I am me. It's a weird concept when you think about it. Be me. It could be worse. I could be one of you. Which is not me. Good morning, damp waffle. No Big Mac. Go back to IHOP. I don't think Thimbo Big Mac is gonna. I don't know. That doesn't seem like it'd go past the censors. Imagine being Top Gun. I don't have to imagine it. The path to normalizing sandwich team names has begun. Top Gun. There's nothing you can do. There is something I can do. I can ban you guys from Low Link. I can do that. It's not the ethical thing to do. You can't. Don't sit there and act like there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, I gotta wear the P-shirt to represent my wife's team, PP. Peer pressure. Day 3, get a microphone, Owen, and you can talk back to me. In fact, you could even come onto the Popcast because as a org head of IPL, there's a lot of good things I think people would want to hear from you. So why don't you get a microphone and talk to us, all of us. What's wrong with eyebrow raising? No, it was the context. The context of when you said that made me go like, what? Why? What was eyebrow raising about that? Nothing wrong with saying that phrase. It's just the context that it was used was kind of like, what? I don't quite understand. Yeah, it was a good notable player for sure. Lots of good notable players in Low Link. Too sick to be doing interviews right now anyways, so that's never stopped me. I did a Popcast episode during the my second vaccination shot with 103-degree fever, and that was really dumb. I should not have done that. Hello, Vincent. You're just now noticing Stuffle? Stuffle's been there since the first episode I put on a webcam, which was like episode 4 or 3 or 4 or something like that. Old Stuffy's always been there. You notice there's my mic is kind of blocking it, but there is a moose in the background that's holding a pop gun. I don't want to move my mic because I got it so out the way. This guy. He's holding a little pop gun. I put it up for Christmas and I was like, well, it makes more sense to keep that sucker up there. Keep that guy up there a little bit longer. Is relevant and now it's blocked by the microphone, so I don't really doesn't get much visuals there. You know, Vincent, I bet if you had this microphone, you would know how to get more value out of it than I do. There's so many, there's these, I forget what those knobs on the back are, but I've never finagled with them. I feel like I'm not getting the ample amount of microphone quality out of this thing that I could, but I'm also too lazy to look into how to make sure everything's firing. High-low roll-off? Take a guess. Where's my roll-off at now? Can you guys hear the roll-off in the voice? It's not aiming at me. The moose is aiming like over my head. It's not pointing it directly at me, no. Making eye contact with me. Looking in my direction, but aiming, like, over his shoulder. A warning shot. How much does one of these microphones even cost? Too much. A little too much, but I want to do the Popcast forever until I die, so it seemed like a good investment. Hello, Chase. Blue snowball mic. Yeah, I feel like this microphone is not necessary for a lot of situations. A little bit overkill. What's wrong with the Okay, if you're doing like podcasting and stuff, yeah, you don't want seagull noises. But honestly, when you're in the VC with me and the seagulls show up, I'm kind of like, yeah, that's awesome. But I guess if you're like doing recording for other things, you probably don't want seagulls showing up in the background. Might not be a fun time. Might defeat the purpose. Everybody loves seagulls until they don't. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify. Well, you're getting hype over the Super Jump trailer that was released yesterday. Selling your spectator passes for Riptide. Ending your disputes so that you can cheer for Pursuit. Whatever it is that you're doing right now. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Can I just make a quick, unrelated comment about things? It's funny, whenever there is drama on Twitter, and not actual serious topics, but somebody like talking beef to somebody else, like whether that drama is something we should be allowed to talk about or not is entirely completely based upon if that player is good at the video game or not. Because I saw some stuff going on earlier in the week, and it was like, well, these are just mid-level players. Why are this is hilarious that they're yelling at each other. But then I saw something yesterday between high-level players, and now people are talking about that, and it's like, well, wait a minute. Are they allowed to be jackasses because they're good at the video game, but mid and low-level players are not? Like, what? That makes no sense to me. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there, that I think we all should be allowed to be jackasses regardless of our skill level. I don't see how good you are at the video game is relatable to any of that nonsense. So regardless, you're not here for that. And that is not what the podcast is about. I'm glad that I do not talk about stupid stuff here on the podcast. We only talk about fun things unless it's a serious issue. And today we are going to be talking about nothing but fun things, and I'm excited to get back to talking about that here on the Popcast. News of a couple tournaments that may be of interest to you in chat, unless you are banned from some of these tournaments, in which case, sucks to suck. Minnow Cup Rainmaker Edition is going to be this Saturday, August the 28th. I don't know if that starts at 1 p.m. or 12 p.m. Eastern time, but you guys in chat know, so somebody will make that clear. Make sure you sign up for that. You guys love you some Minnow Cup. You might not love you some Rainmaker, but it's good to see Minnow Cup come back, so hopefully they have the strong turnout. We'll be recapping that tournament next week on the podcast. Also, I saw Little Squid League 15 was announced recently, I think over the weekend. September the 18th is the date that that the 15th edition of Little Squid League will take place. I checked it last night. There were already 3 teams that signed up for it. So good to see the early teams come out and register for these tournaments to get it in and get it done. I'm going to check. Thank you, Vincent. I'm going to check that real quick. I'm just curious how many teams have signed up for this Minnow Cup. Looks like 19 right now with a couple of pending. So that number will probably jump up now that Low Ink is done. A couple of teams I'm seeing here like sign up for tournaments and then drop from it like every single stinking time they sign up. So I'm not trusting that. And the official start time for this is 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So roughly the same time as Low Ink. So there you go. Little Squid League, Minnow Cup, they're back. Sign up for them. We love, you guys love playing in those tournaments, and they each seem to have like their own kind of segregated groups of players that sign up just for those specific tournaments. So make sure you support the tourneys that you love. Today, take a guess at what we're going to be talking about. It's Low Ink. Of course, we're going to be talking about Low Ink. Get everything, not just Grand Finals, not just Pursuit and Wipeout Punks. We're talking about every stinking thing that happened in Low Ink this past weekend. Swiss, Gamma, Beta, Alpha, and the secret Delta bracket that you didn't know about, the underground bracket. We're going to talk about that today. Unless we don't. But first, it's time for the weekly recap. Wait a minute. Didn't you used to call this the weekend recap? Yeah, but now when I started to think about it, I talk about a lot of things that don't just happen on the weekend, but over the course of the entire week. So maybe weekend recap wasn't the correct term to go for it. So let's rebrand that new segment that I started back in June to something more appropriate. The weekly recap. Starting with, of course, the announcement that happened over the weekend, yesterday. Super Jump has been announced. A new major is going to be happening the last weekend in September from IPL. And I can say, I knew about this from behind the scenes. I played no part in helping with that trailer or the teaser that was shown at the end of Low Ink on Saturday. And I can say staff worked really hard on that. I just kind of kept an eye, just watching people talk and work behind the scenes about it. Those guys put a lot of hours into all of that stuff that you saw. Too many people to kind of credit. Several of them are in chat right now. But so many different people, and the credits was at the end of that trailer there if you want to see who all was involved in that project. But yeah, Super Jump. Wanted to make sure that this tournament met our production standards that you've come to expect from tournaments that IPL produces. A lot of people say Low Ink has really good production quality. Well, that's because the people we have on board, and all those same people are involved in this Super Jump project. A good tweet that I kind of want to reference. This one was from Kraken Mayor. No, not Kraken Fairer. Kraken Mayor. I think is a good way to kind of sum up all the what this tournament kind of means to IPL. The tweet Kraken Mayor sent out here at Kraken Mayor 77. A bit of inside information on this. We have attempted to bring a major since the late winter. We had tried to work with sponsors and other collabs that fell through. We finally decided to do it ourselves with the funds from you all from Patreon and from donating to Switch. Without the support of all you subbing, giving bits, and donating, this wouldn't have been possible. Of course, I have personally threw in $100 as well, including the base money. So that's a good point, and a good thing I kind of wanted to point out here. And it's something I've been talking about a lot recently on the last couple of episodes of the Popcast. These standalone tournaments that just have their own Twitch streams and Twitch channels aren't really benefiting themselves or anybody else, but an organization like IPL, more people are likely to subscribe to that channel, they're more likely to cheer, they're more likely to watch events other than just Low Ink, other than just SOS, other than just King of the Castle. They're more likely to watch all the things that are going on. So because IPL has been able to do that, we don't need a sponsor, we don't need any collaboration from other organizations. We can fund our own major through you guys supporting our organization. That's something I definitely wanted to point out, and it makes a lot of sense. So We will be talking about Super Jump a lot leading up to it. Of course, it is after Riptide. We're going to be talking about tons of things on the Popcast in coming weeks, but that's the one tweet I wanted to point out about Super Jump. Speaking of Riptide, it was announced that they are now requiring a proof of vaccination. And not just that, because when I first saw that, I was like, oh, okay, I'm glad they're doing that. That makes a lot of sense. But there's also like no way, if you haven't been vaccinated yet and you saw that announcement and you're like, well, let me go get vaccinated so that I have something to go into Riptide. Well, no, there's no way you can do that. Now, I got vaccinated like back in March, I want to say, and I don't know like if like what the age groups are allowed. I don't know how old you have to be to get vaccinated. There's a lot of stuff I don't know, and I don't want to speculate and spread misinformation. But I would assume there's no way you could get fully vaccinated in time for Riptide now that the announcement has come out, which is fine. They made kind of adjustments here. They said if you got one shot, that's going to count. If you have like negative tests, that's going to count as well. And they kind of point out and said that they understand that this is late. And here's something I kind of want to point out too. This is all kind of a moving process here. Yeah, the Johnson & Johnson, that's one shot. I guess that kind of makes sense. But this is all like a moving process here. And this isn't something I talked about back when I talked about the announcement of Riptide back in June. I didn't say anything of like, well, why aren't they like requiring vaccination at this time? At the time of June, this is still kind of confusing. It's like, can you require like a vaccination? Like, is that against the law to like have people give like their COVID passport or whatever at the time? I will say this, they did, at least from the jump, say you had to wear a mask, and that was during a time when everybody was saying, okay, we can take the mask off now. So I don't know if it's fair to say, well, they should have done this from the beginning, which maybe they should have, but it's better late than never. This whole COVID thing is still a moving process, and I'm glad that they are making this decision now. Again, better late than never. But man, things have really changed for the worse, unfortunately, since we last talked about Riptide in June. So at least they are making the adjustment here. Let's move right along to some actual tournaments that happened during the week, starting with SOS 39.
They are going to try and force this into overtime, but now this is an opportunity for that Carbon Roller or Archer to just jump out of nowhere and shut down this push. But they might not be able to, as Lucas is pushing forward. All they need to do is jump, and they do, and they take that victory straight out of Foam's hands.
Bruh. That was, yep. And Popcast, whoever that guy is, on the call for IPL's SOS number 39 that happened on Wednesday, that saw Pickup winning yet again. This time claiming Foams as their latest victim. I believe this is the third time Pickup has won SOS. Not a pickup, the pickup of Lucas Burdon and Misu, I believe, is the other notable player on that team. I still don't know who that fourth player is, but it's been the same team consistently every time that they've won this year. Foam's taking second place, the team that won the final testing grounds. They were Foams 2. This time they are just Foams. Don't know what the difference there is, but this is the original Foams, I guess, and it still a solid team all around. And it was fun to commentate that set. It was a really good set to see. Summit took third place in Great White bracket as well. Looking at the other brackets, Operation Paradox won Hammerhead. Tukey did not. I think Tukey has more Hammerhead bracket victories than I do follicles of hair on my head. So the fact that Tukey made Hammerhead again and didn't win it is kind of mind-boggling, but Operation Paradox did. Paradise won Mako bracket, and hey, the team Paradise beat to win Mako bracket, Wipeout Punks. Hey, you guys know them. And Ink Sync won Lantern bracket, moving right along to the final tournament from the weekend that needs to be recapped. That would be 4v4 Sundays that saw Starburst surviving a bracket reset to KOGZ. I believe that's basically just a Radiance team. It had Kiver and Obito. The usual suspects. Starstruck took third place. Hey, this tournament happened during Low Ink Sunday, and 28 teams still played in it. There you go. Hey, tournaments can run at the same time as each other if they're different skill levels. Not everybody has to play in one giant tournament. We can play across multiple tournaments on the same day. How about that? And that was your weekly recap. Sponsored by Super Jump, the new tournament announced by IPL. Make sure you register for Super Jump sooner rather than later, regardless of what your skill level is. I've seen a lot of people hop in, ask questions about Super Jump and saying, hey, I'm a low-level team, and am I allowed to play in this? Like, yes, of course. I think this will be the first major for several low-level teams. I think the point of them saying, well, I didn't know this major, I didn't know Cloudburst was a thing, I didn't recognize that Triple G was a thing. There might be some truth to that, because there's a lot of people just now starting to realize things about Super Jump. So this might be a huge tournament that all those people that complain, how come low-level teams never sign up for my major? They might sign up for ours. We'll see. This probably has something to do with the fact that we have a captive audience. Moving on to Low Ink. If you watched my preview episode of Low Ink, which I know you did, I said if there was going to be any month where a team you've never heard of or players you've never heard of were going to win, it was going to be this month. There were so many big-name teams that were not here for a variety of reasons. And I want to point this out. If we look at the lower-level rankings that came out for July, and this is something I didn't cover on the Popcast. I forgot to do an episode about it. But look at the teams that finished... Hi, Carrot. Look at the teams that finished in the top 16 of the rankings for the month of July. Game Over, Sirius, tied at number 1. Neither team was here. Syntopia wasn't here. Incluminati's wasn't here. My Opsidus signed up, then dropped. Leg wasn't there. Booyah X disbanded. Sekiz Naga signed up and then dropped. And Dark Rain and Defiance were not here either. Of the top 16 teams, according to the low-level rankings for July, 10 of them did not sign up for this tournament. Only 6 did. Fallen Inc., Access Night, of course, 2 really strong teams that would have won it or had an opportunity to win it even with all these other teams in there. Shiver Me Inklings, the Pirates, OK Woomer, the Sentinels, and Tooniverse, a.k.a. Peer Pressure, PP. Now, I'm not showing this to say that, oh, well, if these teams signed up, then this would be a completely different tournament. The Pursuit never would have won it if this was the situation. I'm not saying that at all. Pursuit looked really strong, and they looked clearly like the best team there. They went 11-0. They did not lose a single set. One of the few times, I didn't look up the exact number, but I would say this has only happened maybe 4, maybe 5 times where a team went undefeated, 11-0 in over the course of the weekend. So Pursuit, a really strong team, but it kind of leaves this thought in your head of like, I would have loved to see them play against a team like Syntopia or Sirius or Game Over. Now, I'm not sitting here saying, like, there's a variety of reasons. I'm not sitting here saying, well, this team, we banned that team and that team didn't sign up because of this reason or anything like that. Because, like, there's a wide variety of reasons, and I'm not sitting here saying all those teams were eligible to play in Low Ink. But it does, if, again, the question was, if this was the month with all these teams gone, who would have won it? My team that I picked was Access Denied, and they did really well, and they became the closest to actually beating Pursuit. Had them down 2-0, and just couldn't win on their own counter picks against Pursuit, which was unfortunate for them, but kind of showed how, kind of showed the mental toughness of Pursuit. I mean, that was the first time all weekend they actually faced adversity and they responded really well to it. Basically going into a situation of like, okay, we cannot lose on their counter picks at all. And they took each test and knocked them all out of the park. Did really well. So who are the players on Pursuit? If this is a new team and you've never heard of them, you probably should have, because they've all played in Low Ink in the past. First off, the most notable player that you guys recognize, Bebop. Coming from Fruit Punch, if you may recall, the team that lost in May. A team that went all the way through losers finals, all the way through losers bracket to make it to grand finals, and then you saw them put up a decent fight, but we'll talk about Fruit Punch later. But Bebop, a player that has been on that stage before and failed to walk out of it with their with a trophy in their hand. Nice to see them come back and get the dub there. Prosper comes from Snowfall, which, if you remember, Snowfall was the team that won Gamma Bracket the month prior. So, yeah, we've seen players play in Gamma Bracket and then pop off next month, but not to this extent, not winning the whole tournament. We usually don't see that in the course of a month. James Bro, the last Low Ink they played in was last month with Incognito, and Incognito dropped after a couple of rounds. Don't know why, probably just like somebody, there's a variety of reasons people drop. People don't wake up in time. People have internet issues. The Pop Gun household lost power during round 3. So like I didn't TO round 3 and my wife didn't play for peer pressure during round 3. Things like that happen. Sometimes you just wake up and like, oh, my fourth just got swallowed by a whale and they're dead. So we're going to have to drop from the tournament. So who knows? But still, James Bro was at least eligible to play in the last Low Ink, even though Incognito didn't show up a lot. The last player on here, and this was just a 4-person roster for the entire weekend, Lemonade. Here are the tournaments Lemonade has played in. Most recently in Little Squid League 13, where they won Silver Bracket with Incognito, and has played in 4 Low Inks with No Diving / Incognito. I think might have made a Gamma Bracket once, not quite sure. But still, when you look at all these players together, coming from these different backgrounds, sometimes it just takes the right combination of 4 players. We've seen it happen a lot. We've seen teams disband, which you don't like seeing. You don't like seeing teams disband. But sometimes when teams kind of break up and a new team rises from that ashes of that, and you just hit the right kind of players that gel with each other, all of a sudden you take a couple of Gamma Bracket guys or people that don't make Gamma Bracket, and you got a team that wins Low Ink 11-0. It happens. Of course, it kind of helps when you have somebody who can guide that team in the right direction. They were coached by Chase 247, who made a has made a lot of content on YouTube. I guess one of the more notable things being the Tetra guide, which is hilarious because none of those players use Tetras, which is also hilarious because there was a streak of time back in 2020 where if you didn't use Tetras, you just didn't win Low Ink. We had like Tetra teams winning Low Ink, I believe 4 months in a row. A Tetra built team was winning Low Ink like every single time. So that's gone. And a team coached by a Tetra player didn't use Tetras at all. It's a sign of the times of how Low Ink has changed over the course of the months. But turns out if you just get a C-Jet Hydra player that can dominate, well, that changes things a little bit for you. My apologies, Pursuit. I didn't pick you to win Low Ink. I didn't even mention you guys in the top 10. I think it's because they signed up towards the later end. I think this is one of the teams that signed up later-ish on Friday, even though they was an easy team to verify. They all had history we could easily look up. But my bad, I guess, if you guys signed up before my preview and I didn't mention you. I still would not have picked. I'm still surprised. I would not have picked this team to win. Even looking at the roster, I would have thought, okay, I'd be interested to see what this team could do, but I don't. 11-0 and winning Low Ink, I think you were crazy if you thought that was going to happen. Unless you're a team that actually scrimmed against them or coached them, maybe you would have more insider information than me. But still, congratulations to Pursuit. We're going to be talking about you guys, obviously, throughout the course of today. Other storyline for this tournament, and I've said this before, but sometimes when you talk about, I listen to a lot of sports talk radio, and I hear this phrase said a lot. The better story is in the losing locker room. And yeah, I don't want to do that here because the point of the podcast isn't to point out people who lost, but more give credit to the success they had while in a losing effort, and also to prop up the people that actually win. But there is a interesting story here with Wipeout Punks that we've seen time and time again. I said it on stream when I was commentating this, and it might have come across as negative, but I feel like my job as the commentator is to kind of paint the picture of what's actually happening in this tournament, so that the audience is kind of aware of the history and what to kind of expect going forward and what the actual storyline is. And the storyline with Wipeout Punks was that they lost in round one, and we've never seen a team go all the way from losers to actually win the tournament. It's never happened. It's happened in beta and gamma before. I think Luau did it, or back before they won, or maybe Luau finished second place. I can't remember. That was the July tournament, I believe. But still, it's happened before in gamma and beta. It's never happened in alpha. Here are the other teams that have played in grand finals after losing in round one. It's happened 3 other times in the past. And you're kind of going to notice a trend here with some of them. The most recent one was May with Fruit Punch. Hey, that was Bebop's team. They lost in round one, won all of losers finals, got to grand finals, and got up 3-0 in grand finals. Then they lost one game, and then that one game turned into 2, and then 3, and then 4. Lost 4 straight. As soon as they got their first loss, it was over. Go back 1 month prior to May, April, and you got Citrus. Same situation. Going up against Night Surfing, they win the first game in grand finals, and then they lose 1 game, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4. That's exactly what happened with Wipeout Punks. They won the first 2 games, and then they take a punch in the face, and then all of a sudden, all the magic they had is just gone, and you can clearly tell they're a little discombobulated. 1 game turns into 2, turns into 3. A game they could have won, that Clam Blitz Piranha Pit game, they could have won that. They made the right play at the end. The problem was popping that inkjet was, in hindsight, looking at it, you kind of realize, popping that inkjet was the wrong play. If they didn't pop that inkjet and they just throw in that 1 clam and maybe die before throwing in that 1 clam, or after throwing in that 1 clam, they win that game. But it's hard to make that right decision in that moment with everything that's going on, with the amount of people watching that set, the pressure that's in that, knowing you have to win that game 6 or that game 5 to basically stay alive at that point, even though they weren't getting eliminated, to know that you've been playing for basically 4.5 hours at that point, a very stressful competitive Splatoon. It's hard to make that right call of, do I pop Inkjet here to try to protect my teammates, or do I throw that power clam? And maybe in that moment, I would have popped Inkjet too, but now looking back at it, just the VOD review, and you can kind of tell, man, if they just throw in that clam, they win it. But that's the kind of fatigue I'm talking about. When you keep playing stressful Splatoon in losers bracket for the entire day and you get to grand finals, at some point you are going to run out of gas. And you're saying, well, Popgun, you're just sitting on your butt playing a video game. How are you going to run out of gas? You guys know you can only play this game at your peak for a certain amount of time, and it's not 4 hours. You got to pace yourself out. And as you go over the course of winner's bracket, it's a lot easier to pace yourselves out. The other team who lost in round 1 and then made it all the way to grand finals was back in December. If you guys remember Squid Row, they lost in round 1 and then made it all the way to grand finals. And actually, that set against Fluency was a lot more competitive than what we've seen. They didn't just lose one game and then never come back. It was more back and forth. They were more kind of trading their way up to that game 7. It could have won that game 7. Fluency just kind of clutched out there. I believe that was on Splat Zones of Skipper Pavilion. So Squid Row kind of the outlier there, but still, I'm not going to believe that somebody can lose round 1 of Alpha and win Low Ink until I see it happen. It's just too difficult. The path to do it is just way too difficult. And keep this in mind. Here was one of the more interesting plays that happened during the run for Wipeout Punks. And I think you guys kind of remember this if you're watching it live. It was Losers Finals against Typhoon. And this play happened. So Wipeout Punks currently up 1-0. And the DC rules for this are under 30 and below score or halfway through in the replay counts, and you get a replay. I want you guys to recognize how close this was. So you got 34 remaining, and we're watching the K-Pro right here for Wipeout Punks. They're still in the game. 34 happens here. 32. Oh, wait. Let's back it up. Let's pause it right at the right time. 32. You're at 32 remaining, and they're still in the game. Look what happens right at 31. They're gone. Not even right at 31, like halfway through the 31. That's when they disappeared. Like, that's as close as you can possibly get to having a DC replay or not. And I've always said this. You can't say a DC, oh, well, if they didn't DC, they would have won the game. Or, like, yeah. But look at the position that's kind of going on here. You got the K-Pro that is down. You got the K-Gal that is down. Those two players are... So you're not going to have a Booyah Bomb to kind of work with here. The Splash is still alive, and I would assume Trollfoon would try to find that Splash and kill him before they get that Suction Bomb rush. But the Hydra's still alive too, but the Hydra doesn't really matter because they have the Hydra pinned down behind this wall. So yeah, maybe they could jump to the Hydra, but some well-timed bombs would have kept them out. So I'm not sitting here saying Trollfoon automatically would have won without the DC, but you can kind of tell here, this is a winning position for Trollfoon. Like, the odds of them winning from this position are probably like high 80s, low 90s kind of percent. So Wipeout Punks, man, that's just kind of a lucky break that they were kind of getting, and they took advantage of that. Trollfoon came out in that game replay, played really well, and made the right plays to win, but Wipeout Punks just clutched it out. So, you know, I want to point this out because there were some people in chat that were like, what in the world? Why would they get that replay? It literally sneaks right in right at the right time. And you can't calculate that. That's just luck. That is pure and simple luck. And yeah, you can be frustrated about it. And I feel like this kind of mentally affected Trollfoon, and rightfully so. It would annoy a lot of us, and it would be a difficult thing to mentally come back from. But these kind of plays just kept going into Wipeout Punk's favor, and they seemed destined to be the first team to win Low Ink from that kind of situation. Like, there was some divine intervention that was getting them to grand finals. But again, they lose one game. It turns into 2, it turns into 3, and then 4, and then it's over. And that's credit to Pursuit, and that's why you want to win winter finals to avoid. I'm curious what they did during their break that they had there, because I know a lot of teams misplay the breaks that they have. But credit to Pursuit, and obviously Wipeout Punk's a good tournament result for them, even though they don't win it. The tournament as a whole, before we get into the actual events that happen on Saturday and Sunday, me personally, I'm really happy with how this tournament turned out. The new map list that we presented, the slimmer map list, fixed a lot of issues from the month prior. The slimmer map list made it a lot easier for people to make counter picks quicker. It was less stressful. I had some people tell me it was less stressful than the month before because the map list, A, didn't have any crappy maps on it, and B, there were less maps to choose from, so it was a little bit easier. Me personally, I feel like this should be the map list we used forever. I don't see why we should flirt with the idea of putting on maps that are controversially bad. I might get outvoted by that, which is fine. This isn't the Pop Gun tournament. This is the Low Ink tournament by a lot of staff members that know what they're doing for sure. But I like the map list we had last month, and people might get bored of it, but you add in one more map to that. Wait, what? We can counterpick Clam Blitz Hotel now? I hate that map. Why that map? What you? Some people are asking for splat zones at Black Belly. Like, people are going to complain if that map shows up. Nobody complained about the map list because there isn't a complainable map on there. If you complained about this map list, maybe you could complain about Splat Zones Hotel having the potential for frame drops to happen, I guess. But other than that, I mean, this is about as close to perfect I think you can get a map list, even though nobody's going to agree with that because everybody has stupid opinions. That point, and whoever keeps asking for splat zones at Camp Triggerfish, stop. I will die before splat zones Camp Triggerfish is allowed into Low Ink. Clip it. You can clip that. Pin it to the Discord or whatever. The tournament went a lot faster, the less stress, smooth all around. And, I think we were kind of talking with JPEG. I was like, man, we're really lucky. We got a really good tournament right here. Like, we have the best tournament in the competitive scene right now. And it sucks because there's so many people that can't play in Low Ink, and there's not really a Low Ink for them. But hey, we're happy with the tournament we got and the teams that we got in it. It's a fun time. It's not always the easiest thing to run. You got people every now and then will be butt heads, but hey, that's what we're here for. Snapper Clams was in the map pool, I believe. My mindset was, why are we having 8 Rainmaker or 8 Clamblip maps when there aren't 8 good Rainmaker or Clamblip maps? There's only like 5, maybe 6. We didn't do Rainmaker Mako, but I didn't want Mako and everything. And we only did like 5 Clamblip. So maybe there's like maybe there's like one Rainmaker map we could have put in there to like rotate something out. But again, like if you're just going to rotate out one map or 2, like what's the point? Like why force teams to practice that extra thing when they could just practice something consistently? Regardless, I think we finally got it right, and hopefully we can find a way to keep it going right. Let's look at Saturday. Let's look at some other things that happened outside of just the tournament itself. The matches that happened during Swiss, and a lot of really good matches happened, especially on stream. But let's get into it. First off, Uwu, or Unlimited Woomy United, got a 2-1 win over Bad Luck Trout, or BLT. And this one was on stream. And when I saw this matchup, in round 5 and 6, you want to get like those matchups where you think are going to be really close with each other and might potentially be like, oh, the winner's going to go on to alpha and the loser's going to fall to beta kind of thing. It's hard to get that in round 5. But when I saw this matchup of Uwu versus BLT, I was like, ooh, we need to get that one on stream, because that one was like a test for both teams, right? It's like, how good is Uwu really? Because they were 4-0 at that point, and they've usually kind of muddled around gamma bracket or beta. But going up against the BLT team that I had a lot of questions about of how good they actually were, considering they only played in Flutie up to this point as a team. So this was like a test for both teams to see how legit they were, and they seemed pretty right even with each other. Uwu getting the win 2-1. Both teams ended up going to alpha bracket anyways, but still a good debut for both teams in that set that was on stream there. Power Inc. got a 2-1 win over Hyperflow, and this is another kind of test game for both teams. Power Inc., a team I haven't given enough credit for, considering they had Div 7 next to their name, but has proved time and time again they are not a Div 7 team. this win against Hyperflow kind of proves it. And again, for Hyperflow, this was a test as well because they hadn't played in Low Ink. These were one of those teams that'll sign up for Low Ink and then, we got to drop. One of our fourth got fell into a volcano, and it's going to take a while for the lava to heal so that they can get back into play in the game. So now Hyperflow actually getting to play. We got to see how good Hyperflow actually was. Good test matchup between these two teams, Power Inc. being the team coming out on top. Power Inc. has an exclamation point at the end of their name. Make sure you don't forget that, Popgun. Power Inc. I guess is how we're supposed to pronounce that. Nightshade X got a very fun 2-1 win over Up the Ante on stream, and this one was an instant classic. A matchup between two staff members from IPL and Low Ink, Lumina being on Nightshade X and Grace being on Up the Ante. This one was a really fun set. Grace kind of popped off with Trislosher in game 1, got Up the Ante the win, and then in game 3, with the set tied 1-1 apiece, Lumina got a very nice hammer play on Rainmaker Blackbelly that opened up the window at the very end of the game for Nightshade X to get that one push they needed to get the win in overtime. An instant classic, skill regardless of skill level. That was a really fun set, and I love that Lumina got like that triple, I think, with the hammer, because that is exactly why we did not ban the stupid hammer wall thing in Low Ink. Because if you use hammer the way hammer is supposed to be used, it's way more efficient than going for cheese that doesn't work. You might get like one cheesy kill through a wall, but more times than not, you're not. You're just going to waste that special. So I say, if you want to waste your special going for a stupid Twitter clip, go right ahead. But if you're going to be Lumina and you're going to use the hammer the way it's supposed to be, you are going to win the game for your team. Straight up. So there you go. Nice play by Nightshade X, and a very good set for both teams. I believe we're going to be talking about both of them later because they both kind of popped off in Gamma Bracket as well. ITAP, Inkling Technology at Purdue, got a 3-0 win over Amnesia. This is a Ludi rematch where ITAP, I guess, technically got an upset as far as standings is concerned over Amnesia 5-4. But now in the rematch a couple of months later, ITAP getting a more dominant win, 3-0 over Amnesia right here. I feel like Amnesia, I think I saw Amnesia was disbanding. I saw Chili's tweet, which is unfortunate. Amnesia's been a kind of a fun team. Had a really good Ludi run over the course of the last Ludi season when they won their Ludi group that included ITAP and Tooniverse. But Amnesia, it was fun to see you guys play. I hate to point out a loss right here, but credit where credit is due to ITAP. That's a good win for them. And Amnesia, I'll never forget about you. What was I talking about? Sorry. The Wiggly Phantoms got a 2-1 win over Shiver Me Inklings, the Pirates. Now, here's what's funny. The Wiggly Phantoms got to a point this year where if you beat the Wiggly Phantoms, it was a really good win, and it was something I would point out. Now, kind of the shoe on the other foot, the Pirates have become a team to where if you beat them, it's a really notable thing to do. So this is a little bit of redemption for the Phantoms that I can now say, congratulations, you beat a team that is notable to beat instead of somebody beating you. So a 2-1 win here for the Wiggly Phantoms over Shiver Me Inklings, something that should definitely be pointed out. Dimension got a 3-0 sweep over New Rave. And Dimension was a team that got beta bracket last month. Part of the reason why they got beta bracket is because they got matched up against the Fugatsu Angels, who dropped. So it was like a free win against a team that's really going to boost your opponent win percentage. But now they come out and they finally got a signature win, straight up a 3-0 sweep over New Rave, a team that has made alpha bracket the past 2 months here. Dimension still fell to gamma bracket, or beta bracket, but regardless, this is the signature win they didn't have last month, and they got it now. Back-to-back trips to beta for Dimension. Inkcraft Cult got a 2-1 win over the Bamboo Dragons. Two LLSL teams that have around similar skill level. You love to see it when they match up here, and two teams that have actual history. I'm assuming they've played against each other, but these teams have been around consistently for a while now. I believe Inkcraft Colt for over a year, and Bamboo Dragons, we see him play in just about every single low-level tournament that shows up here. So it's good to see them match up against each other. A close set going into the favor of the Colt 2-1. Vaporwave got a 2-1 win over Peer Pressure. Now, it was a rough day for Peer Pressure. They had a player that is injured, has a hand injury, can't really play the game. My wife and I, as I mentioned, lost power over the course of the tournament, so my wife had to sit out a whole round until our power came back on. It was weird. There was no storm or anything. It was just a clear day, and the power just went out. It came back. So Peer Pressure had a lot of things kind of working against them on Saturday. But credit where credit is due. That's still a good win for Vaporwave. I believe this was round 6 as well. Vaporwave, usually on the bad end of these close 1-2 results. Good to see them get a good solid win against the top 16 team with a 2-1 result here. BitClam got a 2-1 win against the Firefin Flamebacks. A couple of LSL top cut teams making gold bracket in the most recent LSL squaring off here. Look to be pretty similarly skilled leveled as BitClam got the 2-1 win over the Firefin Flamebacks. How good are these teams going to do in the next LSL? I don't know. I don't know who's going to be eligible for the next LSL. You would assume they would be a top cut level team, but I still feel like there's a couple of teams at the top that are going to kind of gatekeep a few teams. If they're allowed back in. Broken Controller Gaming. Oh, I saw the tweet last night. Unfortunate. I don't think we'll be seeing BCG again in the future. But they did walk out here with a 2-1 win over the Ink Vaders Alpha. And this was on stream round 1, which is good. You like putting, I'm the one who decides what games go on stream on Saturday, and I'm always kind of worried, like, oh gosh, I hope this is somewhat competitive. You hope for a 2-1 result or like a 1-1 result going into a game 3 that means something. You don't want a team to just get completely stomped. So that's why when I saw these two, I was like, okay, this should be a good matchup, and it was. Going 2-1, great way to kick off this the stream on Saturday with the win going to Broken Controller Gaming. Enjoy got a 2-1 win over Kappa. And I was pinged about this one on Twitter. Somebody pinged me and said, hey, you want to take a look at this game? I found out later they wanted me to look at the game because my Pog emote made an appearance in the Battlefied chat. And I remember just looking in the chat there and being like, whoa, wait, why is my face here? This is weird. And that happens a lot. You guys like to make memes about me. It's not uncommon for me to go on Twitter and just to see, oh, somebody made another bald meme about me. And, 100 people have liked it too. Great. Awesome. So, there you go. Regardless of all that, it was still a good set. I didn't see a VOD of it, but Enjoy got a nice win over a, alpha bracket contender in Kappa nonetheless. Last match I want to point out here, Mahi Monsoon getting a 3-0 win over Moonlight Capital. This was the first low ink for Moonlight Capital, who did really strong in beta bracket, and a team I feel like should be considered to win low ink, even though they just kind of failed the beta bracket there. But Mahi Monsoon says, nah, not today. You're not. We're getting a 3-0 sweep over you, and a nice win for the fighting Mahis there. My winners from the Swiss stage. Let's get this out of the way right now. I'm going with the team that went 6-0 in their group. No, not Pursuit. We're going to be talking about them again later. But for Uwu, went 6-0. Unlimited Wumi United with key wins against Access Denied, Bad Luck Trout, Fire Aura, and the Jelly Squids. Losing in round 4 of Gamma last month, even though they won Gamma a couple of months before, to going undefeated in their group. We had a couple of teams that are, what do you kids say, glow up? Uwu glue up over the course of this Saturday, going 6-0 undefeated in their group. Very impressive. Fell victim to the number 1 seed curse and actually DM'd me about it. And I was like, you don't need to DM me. I saw that, but I wasn't expecting them to lose in round 1 of Alpha, but it doesn't surprise me. It seems like you have to take a loss. Like, it's almost a requirement that you don't get the number 1 seed. But regardless, that doesn't diminish the fact that they had a really good Saturday. One of the few 6-0 results we've had in Saturday recently. The team with the highest opponent win percentage, that goes, of course, to Bad Luck Trout, the Fighting Sandwiches. Is it really a sandwich if there's no real meat? I don't consider bacon being the highlight of a sandwich, but BLT went 4-2 here with key wins against the Sentinels, Fire Aura, the Sentinels and Fire Aura, and got 6th in their first low ink as a team in their Swiss group, qualifying for Alpha bracket. Again, 72.2%. That is the highest opponent win percentage, meaning they had the toughest schedule of any team in Swiss on Saturday. It's nothing compared to what Port Raccoon had back in August of last year. I guess a year from this month's tournament, when Port Raccoon had a 80% opponent win percentage. And I think there might be something we can do to kind of fix this to lower, to at least make round 1 less stressful for a lot of teams. So we might never hit that 80 opponent win percentage again. But regardless, 72.2 is still really high. New Rave is now 2 for 2 in low inks as far as qualifying for Alpha bracket, going 4-2 in this month with key wins against ITAP, Almost Rising Hope, and Vaporwave. So some quality wins there for a team that has qualified for Alpha bracket every single time they signed up, much like Fallen Ink has. Power Inc. did really well here, going 4-2 with key wins against BLT, Hyperflow, and Fire Aura. From beta champs to Alpha bracket in the span of 2 months, because they didn't play last month, but they did win beta back in June. So a very nice glow up, I guess you say, for Power Inc. They are not Div 7. This is why divs don't really make any sense out when Sluty ends. You can't put a 7 next to their name. It makes no sense anymore. These guys are a little too strong for that. Clownfish. Somebody said glue up. All right. Fair enough. Clownfish glue up in this tournament. Again, I've kind of said Clownfish is a team that kind of pops in and out of low inks every now and then. They just kind of sign up and say, hey, we still exist. But they don't play consistently month to month, but they did this time around. And look what happened. 2-4 last month to 4-2 this month with key wins against Inker Swim and Blue Hour. A little bit of a better schedule this time around. They played a lot of more tougher teams last time, but when you're a team like Clownfish, you're supposed to beat the teams that you are supposed to beat, and they did that. Not everybody can say that. Not everybody beats the teams they're supposed to, but Clownfish took care of business on Saturday and went 4-2, qualifying for beta bracket after missing Sunday last month. Team name, guys, please. I believe this is the last link we're going to see from these guys, unless somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they are going on a hiatus/disband. Went 3-3 here with key wins against Tidal Abyss and Firefin Flamebacks. Also got a nice win against Freelancing Takoyaki, a team that I believe made beta brackets. Went 4-2 in their own right. So a couple of quality wins there for team name, guys, please. So sayonara there, team name the Hedgehog. We will never forget that time you won Little Squid League for sure. Mahi Monsoon got a 4-2 result here on Saturday with key wins against the Wiggly Phantoms, Moonlight Capital, and Shiver Me Inklings. Quality wins in their own right, and they make it to their first Alpha bracket. Finally, they break through the glass ceiling and get that final dub they needed to go to 5-1 instead of to help their opponent win percentage get to where it needed to be. Snow Cone Inc. went 4-2 with key wins against OK Wimmer, Clownfish. Team name, guys, please. Snowco Inc., I believe, I forget what bracket they ended up in, but we'll look at that in a second. But this is a new team from players from Deep Indigo and Division Inquisition. The Snowco Inc. Incorporated a lot better than Division Inquisition. So good to see another new team kind of form from the ashes of another one, popping off, going 4-2 in a low ink. Broken Controller Gaming got to beta bracket one last time before calling it a day. Key wins against Inkvaders Alpha, Tupperware, OK Woomer. And obviously, it sucks to see Broken Controller Gaming go, but those players were kind of loved. A lot of people in the pre-show would always say, we want to play Broken Controller Gaming. Well, you might not get the opportunity to do so in the future, but still, those players were loved and respected within the community. Since everybody wanted to play them, that means they were kind of a good team to have around. Nobody wanted to play them with bad intent. They just seemed like a fun team to play against. So I hope those players are still going to stick around the competitive scene, because obviously they had a good impact on everybody. Shining Storm went 5-1 in their first low ink back in a while, with key wins against Broken Controller Gaming, Hyperflow, and Cake. The last time we saw Shining Storm play in low ink, it was back in January. Been 6 months. It's been a hot minute. So they come back here, pick up right where they left off, go 5-1. Didn't have the greatest alpha bracket that they've had in the past. I believe they finished like top 5 or 6 back in December of alpha bracket, but good to see them come back and do good on Saturday, at least. Outcast Ninjas having a very nice weekend for themselves, going 4-2 on Saturday with key wins against Dimensions, New Rave, and it's just good to see the Outcast Ninjas in general. You've seen these guys before. They almost had that epic win against ITAP long time ago back in Gamma Bracket Finals. They've been in Beta Bracket before, and I feel like they've been in Alpha before as well. So it's good to see that they're constantly improving and they're being consistent. And I think they did decently well in Alpha as well. We'll take a look at that. But still, 4-2 on Saturday, going back to Alpha. Nice to see out of the Ninjas. Inklumini quickly becoming the most consistent Saturday team, going 5-1 here and comfortably making alpha bracket with key wins against Mahi Monsoon, the Outcast Ninjas, Vaporwave, and Enigma. Their only loss came as a 1-2 result to Pursuit, so that's a pretty good Saturday when the only team to beat you, you still took a game off of them, and that team ended up going undefeated, winning the entire tournament. So not too shabby for Inklumini, consistently making alpha bracket at this point. The biggest winner from Saturday, and the biggest one that made me go, what in the world happened here? Legato, fresh off of their LSL 14 championship, went 5-1 in this tournament on Saturday. Key wins against Fallen Ink, the Wiggly Phantoms, and Amnesia. From LSL 14 champion to 5-1 and comfortably making alpha bracket, I feel like that shouldn't be happening, but that just shows how strong of a team Elgato is. It also shows how more closer in skill level Little Squilly is getting to low ink, which is good. There is like a gap there, but if you win Little Squidly, I feel like you should be a contender. Not to win low ink, but to at least do decently well on Saturday if you get fed the right teams. And Legato beating Fallen Ink, beating Wiggly Phantoms, and Amnesia, those are all quality wins. And it's a good thing they won that Game 7 and won Little Squid League, because if they didn't win that Game 7 and didn't win Little Squid League, I don't think they would get another chance at it after what they did in this low ink. So, attaboy, Legato, I see you. All right. We got one more thing to do. Let's talk about Sunday stuff. What was that? Hey, buddy. Hey, hold on. Hey, you all right? I think my dog rolled out of bed again. Here, hey, go sit down. Here. I know, hey. All right, sorry about that. Dog's a little rattled. I think he kind of woke himself up in an awkward way. All right. Let's move on to Sunday. Starting with Gamma Bracket. You good? You're good. You're right, buddy. Screen change. And here we go. So, I guess the chat's kind of blocking a little bit of losers bracket. Who cares? They're losers anyway. Matches of note, I guess you want to talk about in Gamma Bracket. A lot of really close matches here. And this is why, we keep an eye on Alpha, but we never... I don't really know how the counter picks go in Gamma. I'm assuming they're going well because the tournaments are... The brackets aren't dragging along. We are dedicating like one staff member to each bracket to make sure things are going as quickly as they can and getting done in the right way. Ink Vaders in a battle of every single thing that they did, up the ante in a lot of really close sets as well. Enigma, so a lot of 3-2 sets here, and you like to see things be competitive. A lot of times you just see a ton of 3-0 results, which you do see here, but Neon Palm Tree, the team that even won it, had to struggle several times. It looks like they didn't dominate anybody that they played, which is good to see. Shines of a competitive bracket. The winners from this bracket, first off, give me Up the Ante, who got a 3-1 win here against Riptide, 3-2 against Ink Vaders Alpha, and almost beat Enigma, who finished in second place before getting eliminated by OK Woomer. Very nice result for Up the Ante. Again, close loss to Nightshade X on stream, but bounced back and got a lot of good quality wins here, finishing in round 4 of losers. Not too shabby. Divine Downpour. It's been a while since we've seen these guys play in this tournament, and they come out and take care of business against the 16th seed right off the jump before losing to Enigma, but then went on a tear here in losers bracket. 2-1 Surf and Turf, 2-0 Ooh Fish, 2-1 Nightshade X, 2-0 OK Win before losing to Enigma. Good to see Divine Downpour come back and play just as strong as they always have in the past in these Gamma and Beta brackets. Lastly, I want to give a shout out to Nightshade X, doing really well in this tournament as well, with the help of the sub of Miss Popgun, who didn't lose power at all on Sunday. Really nice. 3-1 over Title Abyss, 3-0 OK Woomer, before falling to the team that won the whole tournament, and then losing to the team that finished in third place. So not a bad Sunday for Nightshade X either. Getting the dubs that they needed to get there to finish in round 4 of 4th place. I think Nightshade X might be the team that wins the next Little School League. I think they might, honestly. I'm calling that right now. Clip it, unless that doesn't happen. The teams that finished in grand finals here, and this was one of the rare Sundays where we didn't have a bracket reset across any of the brackets, which is good. The tournament ends quickly. It's nice to see. Enigma losing to Neon Palm Tree 4-2, which is fine. Again, Enigma didn't have to. They got some breaks here, which is nice to see. A lot of times you see a team lose in winners and then they get dominated here because they don't have the right kind of mindset. Enigma gets a nice bounce back here against a team with a lot of momentum behind them to get into this grand finals, but ultimately Neon Palm Tree, which looks to be really close with Enigma here, just had the right games at the end. As far as these teams are concerned, what does this mean for Enigma going forward? I don't know. I hope they keep playing in low wings. It seems like they're not playing every single month, which is fine. But when they get consistent results, you can when they start playing consistently, you can see it's paying off here. I mean, they almost won this bracket. This is, you expect them to be kind of a Gamma contender, or somebody who can do decently well in beta as well. So it's good to see them play consistently and get these kind of results. For Neon Palm Tree, though, winning this bracket, that's really good for them. This is basically Mule, a team that made beta bracket last in May. Not the same team exactly player to player, but it's kind of that reincarnation of that. So it's kind of the thing of, well, would you rather qualify for beta or win Gamma? I'd rather win Gamma, personally, especially one that was as competitive as this one. You saw it wasn't an easy route for them. So a nice tournament win there for Neon Palm Tree. I don't know what. Oh, I guess that's kind of like those things you see outside of casinos. Not the worst team name we've had. I mean, it's no Wiggly Phantoms, but it gets the job done. Speaking of Wiggly Phantoms, what the heck happened here? They had a hell of a tournament here, didn't they? Across Saturday and Sunday. We'll get to them in a second, but again, another really good matchups here. This is, for Snowco Inc. being the number 1 seed, this is not fair. This is not fair at all. So Shiver Me Inklings actually qualified for Gamma, but because of drops, they were able to be bumped up to Beta. And now, here you go. Team that got the number 1 seed just barely missed making Alpha Bracket in Snow Cone. You get to play the team that won this bracket last month. This is your reward. This is your number 16 team. They almost got them, to their credit, but Shiver Me Inklings upending them, the number 1 seed curse. This one seems like a more cursed matchup than just the number 1 seed being cursed itself. Unfortunate situation there for them. ITAP doing pretty good here, getting 1 win, almost beating Jelly Squids, but getting another one down here, the beta in beta bracket. ITAP had in a lot of awkward issues. It looks like on Saturday they're moving back in. College is starting back up. I think some of them were moving back in. So who knows? Dorm internet issues. I think Mizuno said Gasicle was tripping over boxes at one point or something. I don't know what the context of that is, but man, college is always interesting. When you can't rely on your parents' internet, you're always kind of stuck with university situations, which are always not a fun thing all the time. I loved living on campus the 1 year I did it, but also liked living in an apartment much better myself. Winners from this bracket. We're going to start off with Shiver Me Inklings, and it might be weird. Well, why would they be a winner? They won this bracket last time. They barely even qualified it. Well, because they showed up and took care of business. It's a good bounce back from the rough Saturday they had and kind of salvage, trying to get something you can build off of from this tournament to make it so where you don't feel like, this is just a total loss. Getting the win over the number 1 seed, 3-2. Falling to Moonlight Capital, that's a good loss. Moonlight Capital is a really good team. But then going on a tear in losers bracket, 2-1 F2U, 2-1 Rising Hope, 2-1 the Jelly Squids before falling to Moonlight Capital yet again. Enjoy deserves a little bit of credit here as well. 3-1 win over Freelancing Takoyaki. 3-2 against Dimension. 3-1 against Moonlight Capital before being swept by the Phantoms themselves. And then losing the rematch to Moonlight Capital. So Enjoy, again, they were close to making Alpha Bracket. We put them on stream against Outcast Ninjas. Outcast Ninjas just kind of handled them, but Enjoy kind of proved they are an Alpha Bracket capable team with how well they played in Beta Bracket here. Last but certainly not least, Snowco Inc., after losing round 1 to an unfair opponent, got on a roll here and showed why they were the number 1 seed. 2-0 Broken Controller Gaming, 2-1 Vaporwave, 2-1 ITAP before losing to Moonlight Capital. So all those teams definitely deserve a winner roll. Grand finals here. Oh, wow. I are the Wiggly Phantoms like America's team? Are they like the Dallas Cowboys of the of like competitive Splatoon? Like, are the Wiggly Phantoms like everybody's universal number 1 favorite team across skill level? I think they might be. But Moonlight Capital, let's talk about them for a quick second, because I put them in my top 10 because they were doing really well in tournaments outside of Low Inc. They were beating Access Denied, and they beat Inkluminatis, I believe, in another tournament as well. So they looked like a team I felt like should be considered a contender to win the entire tournament. And they kind of backed that up here. They went 4-2, just missing Alpha Bracket, but they took care of business here, beating a lot of notable teams in winners and losers bracket here, going all the way to grand finals. It's just they ran into the Phantom that was just a little too wiggly for them. For the Wiggly Phantoms, what happened here? This is what I expected the Phantoms to do last month, which is odd because coming into last month's tournament, the Phantoms were coming off of, I believe, a Lantern Bracket win in Little Squid League or in SOS. And we're doing really well. Like they had a new roster, like they added a new player, I believe Blue, and they've really improved since then. So I was really confused why they went 2-4. So I asked them in my Discord service, like, what the heck happened here? What happened overnight? So here's what happened last month. This is from Mr. Snack. So last month I personally wasn't there, and one member had their power go out for a set. So they had to scramble for a sub, which kind of scuffed that tournament and tripped us up. So they had some things happen last month, and I forget I'm still on the screen here, so I'm just kind of reading off that, but regardless, that works nonetheless. So, but there you go. No issues this time around, and they popped off, winning beta bracket. Are they a top 10 team next month? I don't know. This is the best they've ever done. We should just celebrate that. But maybe what I said earlier in the year, that they could be standing on the end of in the podium of Lowink at the end of this year, that might hold some weight. Very nice result for Wiggly Phantoms, obviously, who made a couple of banger tweets over the course of the weekend. Last, and definitely not least, Alpha Bracket. As you kind of look at, hey, welcome back, Coffee. I haven't seen you in a while. Where have you been? You still with Luau? You still causing nonsense? I know you're a big fan of Lemonade. Alpha Bracket here. The matches of note. I guess the most notable one here was the one we put on stream at the end. Pursuit versus Access Denied. Again, Access Denied was up 2-0 in this set. And I thought it was really sus when Pursuit picked Hotel Zones. It's clear they picked Hotel Zones because they wanted Bebop to be on Stingray with C-Jet, but it's like, Access Denied's got a charger that's kind of lighting people up. I wouldn't want to pick a map that kind of highlights the charger again. But Pursuit able to bounce back and get the reverse sweep here. And honestly, I think this is more closer to the grand finals that I think we were going to expect. Access Denied getting a close win here over Outcast Ninjas. That was kind of surprising. Shows how strong the Ninjas are. Hyperflow kind of proved how tough they are as well with this close loss to Pursuit to start off the day. Man, Pursuit did not have an easy run at all. You saw they got a couple of 3-0s here, but they had to earn everything. I mean, this wasn't the second coming of Rising Matrix. This was a tough tournament for them, even though they didn't lose a single set. Winners from this one. Let's go with Fallen Ink here. And again, every time they play in low ink, guaranteed they're going to make Alpha Bracket every single time. Take care of business against Wipeout Punks. They're the team that put Wipeout Punks into losers bracket. 3-2, 3-1 over Power Inc., and then falling to Typhoon before being eliminated in a rematch against Wipeout Punks. I think this is the best time Fallen Inc. Fallen Inc. has had a better result every single month they play. Like, they made Alpha Bracket and then they don't win anything. They make Alpha Bracket and then they win a couple of games. Make Alpha Bracket and now they're in losers round 4. What is this? Tied for 5th? Because, yes, they're tied for 5th now. So, Fallen Inc. never taking a step backwards in any tournament they're playing, constantly moving forward. I'm excited to see this team going forward. I had them really high in my top 10, and they're going to be up there again. They deserve to be up there for sure. Hyperflow deserves a little credit right here. You see, after they lost Pursuit to start off the day, went on a bit of a tear in losers bracket. 2-0 Shining Storm, 2-1 Power Inc., and 2-1 Hyperflow before losing, or 2-1 Outcast Ninjas before losing to Access Denied. Hyperflow, a lot of question marks. How good were they going to actually be? This is how good. Tied for 7th. That's pretty doggone good in this tournament. A top 10 team going forward? Yes, I believe so, for sure. And last, I want to give a roll here to the Outcast Ninjas for this close win they had against close loss they had against Access Denied. Bounce back, get a couple of wins here. 2-1 against Legato, 2-0 against New Rave, who is making their second straight appearance in Alpha Bracket, for losing to Hyperflow themselves. So Outcast Ninjas, a good Saturday, a decent Sunday as well, going through their first counterpick weekend. So getting that experience under their belt, we should only expect greater things from the Ninjas going forward. Finally, grand finals here. What can I say? Again, I feel like if if you play this like here, instead of Wipeout Punks having to grind their brains out all the way through here, I think you might get a more competitive result. I just think Wipeout Punks, as soon as they lost that first game, I think they just ran out of gas. I think that took the wind out of their sails. And I mean, again, look how stressful this is. Round one, you lose round one of winners in a game 5. You have to play a game 3 immediately right after that, which you win. Another game 3, which you win. And then 2 rounds later, game 3 again against the team that already beat you. Another game 3. So, like, this is stressful. This is a very stressful loser's run right here. And that takes a toll on you. But Pursuit taking care of business, winning that one game and not turning their heads back going forward. What does this mean for both teams, wrapping up this lengthy episode of the Popcast? For Wipeout Punks, this was their first low ink. They've been playing in a lot of tournaments, but this is their first low ink. I believe this was a Div 6 team, and you could very easily see them winning another low ink. Even with all those teams I pointed out earlier in the episode that weren't here, if those teams were to come back, I still think Wipeout Punks is capable of beating all of them. Now, the path they took to grand finals is not a winning path. They just get 1-2 wins here and then maybe dip in the losers. I think they'd be more fine, but the path they took here was what kind of screwed them over more than anything. For Pursuit, really good to see. Again, one of the handful, I think only 4 or 5 teams have gone 11-0 in a tournament. They were challenged a lot, kind of like the Ink Reapers. They did. This wasn't an easy result for them, but they got the win when they needed it. That game 5 of Clan Blitz of Piranha Pit, that was one of the best 5 minutes of Splatoon low ink has ever seen. I don't like go down and break down every single game that happened in Splatoon, but that Piranha Pit game, the fact that they were able to get the lead late there and then hold on by 1 clam was very impressive by Pursuit. And that's why I said I felt like the tournament was over at that point. That game 5 felt like a climax to the tournament, and it felt like it was over right then and there. But a nice result there for Pursuit. Man, Splat Zones at Hotel. I guess expect that counter pick to be used if you play these guys in a tournament. But man, I think they lost on more. I think they won on other team counter picks more than they won on their own counter picks on stream. But ultimately, hey, they took everybody's best punch and survived it. My concern for Pursuit is this. We haven't seen a lot of noise out of any team that has won low ink this year outside of Rising Matrix. Xylo disbanded. Night Surfing, I don't know what happened to them. We haven't seen them in a while. I haven't seen anything from Ink Reapers. The Deep Fried Octolings are still playing in tournaments, but it's they haven't kind of reached that peak that they did in the last low ink. And I think Hero Fan Club, I see like every other day they're disbanding or reforming or whatever. So I don't know what's up with them. So Pursuit, man, it's exciting to see this new team, but you hope that they didn't peak early. Like, I know they're going to be in chat and be like, yeah, we're going to go on to do a lot of great things, but the trend is I don't feel like there's a lot of tournaments for teams that are around Pursuit skill level to do right now. I would love to see them play in SAC against the Deep Fried Octolings, against whatever comes from Hero Fan Club, against these other teams that have been winning low ink recently, against Resilience, against Geek Squids. I want to see them play against all those Div 4 teams, and until the right tournament comes around that's going to put them in that situation to do that, I hope there's still a thing by then, because it's been a rough week, or it's been a rough year for high ink teams. But hey, they got the right foundation to get it done, and hopefully they do. That being said, we're done talking about the Popcast today. It's been a lengthy episode. We had a dog fall off the bed yet again. So we're going to wrap it up here. We're going to be talking about Minnow Cup next week and whatever other stupid thing happens on Twitter between now and then. But if you'd like to be a part of the Popcast in any way, Thank you to all the people who followed and subscribed, I believe, Coffee. But you don't have to do that to support the podcast. You can reach out to me directly if you have something that you would want to do to be a part of this podcast. Feel free to reach out to me. My socials below: Twitter at Mr_Popgun, Discord Popgun, hashtag 5882, YouTube at Popgun25, Twitch at Popgun25, YouTube is 25 Popgun, Anchor.fm / Popgun, for those of you listening on Spotify. Kiki, I always raid Kiki, but you know what? I don't have. No. We don't raid. It's a mod enough. Let's go there. I saw Med probably. So how many Ds? 5? Is that correct? Let's go. We got it right. Hey, keep wearing your mask. Make sure you get vaccinated. You didn't need Riptide. Don't let in-game TV make you get vaccinated. You should have done that beforehand. Come on, guys.